I say hold up, cock my glizzy, bang, bang. I say hold up, cock my glizzy, bang, bang.
I need all the wins, yeah. Ain't no L's, gotta get a no call and quits, yeah. Gotta keep on moving no matter how hard it gets, yeah. Better move out the way cause I'm coming with harder hits. My head is as hard as a brick but I'm harder than all it is. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. My heart on my sleeve.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome to the Designated Spittaz. It is I and Derek, and first and foremost, Derek, before we even go further, my friend, me and you both do a lot of content creation, and I just want to salute you for managing through this season. It was a tough one.
I don't know how you called every game or essentially every game.
149 games.
Yeah, I think I did about 145 recaps or something like that. Look, it's been over for the Yankees since really that Colorado series after the All-Star.
Yep.
We didn't want to necessarily like admit it, but we knew it was over. I think we said it, but
we did.
But it's been a long march to the electric chair over the last couple of months here.
Yes, no doubt. It's been a long walk.
Yeah,
you got a lot of time to think about that end that's coming. Yeah. But no, man, you know, I've been seeing so many things about like, oh, it's another winning season and this and that. I'm like, I'm just not in the mood at all to pick apart stuff and be like, you know what, this was good and that was good. I just see the Yankees year this season and I just go, you know what, it was a failure. It was a colossal failure. No matter where you want to put blame, I don't care if you want to, you know, blame the front office, Boone, Steinbrenner, the players. Whatever your blame goes to, as a fan, it's been a shitty season, and it was a shitty year, and that's it.
Yeah, I don't like to cherry pick either because if you look at any season, there's always positives and there's always negatives. I mean, some of those really bad Yankees teams, you still had, Jim Abbott throwing a no-hitter or something like that.
Yeah.
We had a perfect game this year. We had 2-3 home run games from Judge. We had Dominguez come up and light the world on fire for precisely a week.
Yep.
But other than that, I mean, the season was pretty much a lost season.
Oh, no doubt. Not even close, man. As Mr. Ligerstrike in the chat says, it was a wet fart that turned to a shark. Yes.
Oh,
that's it.
I hate when that happens, man.
When that is the Yankee season summed up. And, well, everybody, the Yankees finished the year at 82-80. I don't think anybody really had that prediction locked in to begin the season. I know I didn't. I thought the Yankees had a shot at the East. I actually had them winning the East. Turns out Baltimore is going to be a beast, and they're going to be a beast for a long time, likely. And everywhere else in the American League East, you kind of look at it and go, everybody's going to be pretty good. So yeah. I know everybody's so focused on 2024. We're going to talk about some of that today. Tomorrow, we got a big show at 8 o'clock live, a big roundtable happening. But Derek, I mean, Jack Curry, I don't know if you heard him, but he kind of talked about what the Yankees are going to have to do. And he did mention, of course, your Otanis, your Bellingers, your Sotos, your Yamamotos. And he kind of ended it with a little, Yankees probably don't get any of those guys. But,
yeah.
and I'll be honest with you. And we're going to jump around a little bit, obviously. But there was the news today that the Padres are likely going to trade Soto. That is now coming out of the Padres. They've had their meetings already, or they started their meetings, and they're thinking about trading Soto. Can the Yankees miss on Soto? Is this a guy that you can miss on again?
Well, I think, a guy that you just mentioned, Ohtani, is going to draw a lot of the attention this winter, which might allow someone to sneak in and get Soto, right?
Okay.
I mean, and the thing about Soto is people forget he's 25 years old. So if you get him,
right,
you're getting his entire prime. I mean, you're getting 25. I mean, assuming you can re-sign him, which is one more point. If the Yankees go out and get Soto, it has to be contingent on signing an extension. Doesn't matter how large the extension is. You want me to give up my prospects and whatnot, I got to re-sign this guy because he's going to be, along with Judge, for the next 8 years now. He's going to be my guy, and then beyond that. Yep. I think you've got 5 more years of Garrett Cole. You've got 8 more years of Judge. You got to maximize that 5-year window. And that's the prime years for Soto, ages 25 through 30. He could legitimately hit 150 home runs over that span and hit 280 with a 400 on base percentage. You've got to take advantage of that if it's at all possible.
Yeah, and he just makes so much sense for the club. And now we do have an understanding that it is a legit possibility that the Padres will move him. Now, it's also not easy pickings for the Yankees just to come in there and make a move, right? There's going to be a lot of teams that are certainly going to be in on a guy like Soto. But, looking at the year right now, and before we even, kind of start planning out what 2024 could look at, before we went live, we talked about some of the young players. And one of the guys that have really opened our eyes up, and I do believe is made for Yankee Stadium and has shown he could catch, is Austin Wells. How impressive has he been to you?
I mean, to me, of the rookies, other than Dominguez, he's been the most obvious major league hitter. And surprisingly, I'd put Florial in at third. I mean, not third base, but as the third ranked hitter of those guys. Look, he's got power to all fields. We saw him drill the ball off the left field wall today. He's done that before. And when he turns on it, we've seen the upper deck. We've seen the right field bleachers. Yankee Stadium cannot hold him when he gets the ball in the air to right field.
That's right.
He's gotten a lot of praise from the pitchers as far as his catching ability. Now, we didn't see Garrett Cole throw to him. I don't blame the Yankees for not doing that because Garrett Cole's pitching for a Cy Young. One bad start could literally cost you. So I'm going to give them a pass on that. But I want to see Austin Wells catch Garrett Cole in spring training and get used to it because I don't know, even if Rortvedt's going to be around, if he's got a major league caliber bat, So I want to see Austin Wells get some reps. And to me, that leaves Trevino and Higashioka as the odd men out. I mean, that's Austin Wells has made this decision easy by hitting as well as he did and getting better he did something that a lot of Yankees players had not done this year, which is he got better with reps. We saw some other guys kind of regress. Some other guys kind of stay stagnant. Pereira did nothing over his month. We saw Peraza kind of go up and down. Volpe kind of went, down and then up and then down.
And down again.
But Wells was on that nice trajectory, got off to a slow start and then exponentially got better. So I feel really good about him.
Yeah, Austin Wells did a lot of what he was doing in the minor leagues is when he would get promoted to a level, he struggled for a little while, and then he would be one of the best hitters in the lineup. He did that in AA, did it a bit in AAA, and then, of course, doing it at the major league level. But he ended so good. And the other thing that really is shocking about him is the speed he has. He's fast. He's fast for a catcher. He can really move on the base paths. And
I'm going to push back. I'm going to push back a little bit on that today. I mean, he got a double. He laid out a double today, but you look at StatCast data, he's in the 28th percentile, which is fast for a catcher. But
that's what I mean. Yeah.
I wouldn't say he's a speed demon.
Right. For a catcher, he definitely got above average speed for a catcher on that end. And the lefty bat is what really matters for a guy like Austin Wells. You got to have that lefty bat in there. And then you also, mentioned Estevan Florial. The one thing I think people got to remember about Flo is he just seems to be a guy that has taken longer to truly develop all of his tools. And one of the main things that he's been able to develop now at the major league level is he's laying off of those pitches he used to swing at. Mm-hmm. So he has better pitch recognition. Now, when you look at potentially the Yankees getting another big name outfielder, whether that is Ohtani, Bellinger, Soto, whoever the hell it is, and we're going to be saying those names probably more than we want over the next couple of months, but we will be. He kind of makes sense, right? For the Yankees to go, we don't need to spend there. Throw him in center field for half the season, and after that, he's a good fourth outfielder.
Yeah, I think my primary target would be a great left-handed bat to play left field. So to me, Bellinger, Soto are obviously 1 and 2, with Jung-Hoo Lee coming in at number 3. Yeah. I might even get Lee anyway because he might need some minor league time.
I think he would.
Yeah, but in terms of center field, I think Florial has done enough to earn 3 months in center field. And if he stinks, what do you have to lose? I mean, at worst, he struggles for 3 months in center field, and then you got Dominguez comes in and takes over, and you really lose nothing. At best, he proves himself to be a good, decent major league player, and he can become your fourth outfielder and allow you to either move him or move somebody else in a deal at the deadline to get better and get whatever the team needs to get next year. Yep. I think Florial did exactly what he needed to do. I know he didn't hit any home runs, but to me, I saw a guy who had better at bats, who took the ball to left field. He almost hit the ball out that night we were there. He hit the ball off the left field wall, which that's an impressive shot for a left-handed hitter.
No doubt. And he's always been able to, he has very strong wrists. And we usually when people say that about a left-handed batter is they could drive the ball out to the opposite field pretty easily. Mm-hmm. And he's been able to show that. And, the one thing also Jack Kirsch brought up, which is not a shock. I think he said 1/4 of the Yankees' homers this year have come from left-handed batters. And that is something they're not used to. The Yankees are used to having powerful lefties in the lineup. They didn't have that this year. Anthony Rizzo is a major question mark. Who the hell knows what's going to happen with him? Yeah. I'll throw this one out to you. If you got the opportunity to replace him, is that something you're jumping at?
It really depends on who you're replacing him with. I've seen some people say the Yankees should try and get Alonso because the Mets are trying to get Alonso. He's pretty much the only right-handed hitter that I would accept to replace him. To me, you'd have to get a good lefty, and I just don't know that there's that many available. To me, it feels like one of those winters where you could really have a sea change in the organization. Like you could have 5. I wouldn't surprise me if there's like 5 new players on the Yankees.
I think they need it.
Opening day. They got to have at least 2 more bats. I mean, you can't have another season where you're last in the league in hits. You can't. Today, the highest batting average on the roster, in the starting lineup rather, was 243. That can't.
LeMahieu, right?
Yeah, LeMahieu, yeah. And he's circling the drain as a player too.
Yep.
You've got to reset. There are players that you can count on getting better. And I do think the Yankees in general like to upskill guys rather than go out and get somebody else. There are guys who are going to hit better. I think Volpe's going to do better. I think Volpe next year probably going to hit 230, 240 with a little bit more power. Play solid defense. He's going to be a little stronger. I think Wells, as we talked about, is going to do fine. Judge, hopefully stay on the field. The Yankees should be better by proxy because of those things. But you've got to get another bat just in case Rizzo doesn't come back. And even if Rizzo does come back, he's got to hurt each season that he's been with the Yankees. As you get older, you break down more. And anybody who's aged through their 30s can tell you that. And we're not even professional athletes. Just getting out of bed hurts more when you're in your mid 30s. And when somebody like Tatis is running into you, it's going to have more of an impact as you get older, and or whatever could happen to him next year, whether it's running into the wall and or collision at the plate or getting hit by a pitch, you're going to get hurt more playing contact sports as you get older. I just think the Yankees need to, in general, find a way to get younger, more athletic, more left-handed. And it might not be a season where you can turn it around 100%, but you got to take a big stride. You got to be at 93, 94 wins next year. You got to add 10 wins to this roster.
Easy, no doubt about it. And, they are the Yankees, so they do have the opportunity of doing it. It just comes down to, again, creativity. And we'll see if Cashman's that guy, but we got a couple of super chats here. Aaron Rodgers says, I asked the other day, would the thought on this as a starter for Soto, Thorpe, Wells, and Jones, I would do everything I can to avoid trading Austin Wells. I think Wells is a guy you really got to try to add in this lineup. To me, Spencer Jones could easily headline the deal for him. I'll be happy with that. Mm-hmm. And if Thorpe is the guy that has to go to make sure that deal is done, then I do it still. But even though I think Drew Thorpe is a guy that is almost 100% to being a legitimate starting pitcher very, very soon, he's probably the last guy on the pitching side you'd want to trade. I don't know if they'd be interested in Clark Schmidt. I have no idea what it will look like. But again, I think you got to look at many scenarios and be willing to take a little bit of pain when it comes to getting a guy like Soto. But I agree with what Derek said. No matter what you do, you got to have that window open to re-sign him. You have to re-sign him.
Yeah, that's a condition of the trade, is that you got to have that signing window. But let's say this. The Padres probably not going to ask for Wells because they've got this young catcher, Salas, I think his name is.
Ethan Salas. Yep.
And he was already in Double-A as a 17-year-old. He's going to rocket through the minor leagues. By the time he's 19, he's going to be their franchise player.
Yep.
So, and he might be one of those guys that they're looking to give a big contract to right away, like the Braves have done with some of their younger players, like the Orioles are probably going to do. So I don't think Wells is going to be a target for them. I do think that if I were the Padres, I would want some pitching back. I would probably ask for Mike King, honestly. If I'm trading Juan Soto, I would ask for Mike King. I'd probably ask for Spencer Jones, and I'd probably ask for Roderick Arias. So two a legitimate pitcher, a legitimate prospect, and a lottery ticket who was the #1 international draft pick. And you know what? Give me half your bonus pool money too for next year. I think that's probably what they would ask for. And I think that might be enough to get it done, depending on what other teams are offering. Nobody's going to be able to offer a pitcher the quality of Mike King. The question is, would the Yankees be willing to do it? And if you do that, that makes it mandatory that you go out and you get a Yamamoto or somebody of that ilk. The fact that Cashman was in Japan for his no-hitter has got me excited because that makes me think they're gonna go after him.
I mean, I'm telling you, man, if it was Matt Daly, who's one of the Yankees' top scouts, he was there. Omar Minaya was there, and of course, Hal Steinbrenner was also there. So, you're looking at that. If I'm them and that's done, I turn around and I'm like, "You ready? You got the checkbook?" You got to believe that. And again, Derek, look, we got one more. So let me read the super chat first. Then I want to get into Yamamoto a little bit and why it makes, baseball sense and business sense. DJ Steele says, would you guys risk giving away great talent for 1 year of Soto and possibly him walking after next season? That's a huge risk. Doubt the Yankees sign him. Well, that's why we're saying that if you do make that, the condition has to be that you have to re-sign him. Right. So that's the Yankees kind of not, kicking that bullshit to the side and saying, hey, this deal is going to get done. You're here long term. We're not going to go ahead and back off of that. But getting back to Yamamoto and even a guy like Soto, Brian, one thing that Hal Steinbrenner definitely is, he's a bottom line guy. So he probably wants to know, anything I do, I want to get a return on it. It's a business. At the end of the day, you want to make money. It's how businesses work. If you're looking at it and you're going, you got guys like Ohtani, who 100% is going to make you all of his money back, plus Yamamoto is going to make you all of his money back, plus, unless he's a bust in his first year. Unless he comes out and he's horrendous, then it's going to be a little tougher. Soto is going to make all of his money back. You got the Japanese culture and the Dominican culture that is huge in New York. It is a very, very smart deal to make on a business standpoint, let alone a baseball move.
Yeah, I can't see Ohtani signing with the Yankees for multiple reasons. One, I think if he's going to New York, I think it would probably be to the Mets. And because Cohen will outbid Steinbrenner for Soto, because the Yankees are going to have that additional cost of having to clear the DH spot of Giancarlo Stanton, right? So Stanton is continuing to screw us with our pants on here. So the next option is to get Yamamoto. International money out the wazoo, huge Japanese population in New York. You could Hideki Matsui is essentially Michael Jordan of Japan. If he gets on the phone and calls Yamamoto and says, "Hey, Yamamoto-san, come to New York. It's great. Yeah. I'll let you borrow my porn collection." Same thing with Tanaka. Tanaka can speak to what it's like to play in New York. He chose to go back to Japan rather than to play for another team.
Yeah.
So to me, the Yankees will have a nice advantage on somebody who doesn't mind being on the East Coast. And that's another thing that concerns me about Ohtani. He doesn't talk to the media, and he bitches about losing, but he chose the Angels because he wanted to be on the West Coast. I want to be a closer plane flight home.
I've said that so many times about Ohtani, and I tell people, I'm like, if Ohtani would ever come here and just never be the same guy, it wouldn't shock me. It just wouldn't shock me one bit. A lot of the stuff he said to me is all red flags. I mean, let's remember, he rejected the Yankees first. There was a point where I think the agent was like, "Don't even try." It was just like, and the Yankees were like, "Well, we want this guy. We want to talk about it like that. Don't even try." He's not interested.
And what happens every time he pitches in New York? He gets lit the fuck up.
He gets lit up, or he doesn't pitch. He's like, nope, not going to pitch.
Yeah, he suddenly gets the David Price syndrome when Gary Sanchez was coming to town. got the sniffles there, buddy.
Yeah, he's like, come on, go sit down. He got cold.
As much as I like Ohtani as a hitter, I think he would be a bust in New York. I'm getting vibes of that. And usually with that, where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. I've always said it. I just never felt like Ohtani was ever a real possibility. I never felt that way. I don't think he'll ever be a Yankee. I don't see that happening. For the people who don't know much about Yamamoto, guys, a lot of people say he might be the greatest pitcher to ever come out of Japan. And I want to make sure I dial this back because I think sometimes people get confused. They're not talking about stuff when they say that, because you've had guys like Yu Darvish who was throwing 101 mile an hour darts up there. Of course, Ohtani, of course, Tanaka. When people say that, it is based solely off of the stats. He has the greatest pitching stats of all time in Japan. He is that good. And there's been rumors already that he wants to play for the Yankees. There's also a rumor out there now that Soto wants to come back to the East Coast. He doesn't want to be on the West Coast. So I'm not saying that this means that the Yankees are going to come out swinging big and going, "Fans, we're back." They haven't given us anything to truly believe that's going to happen. Yeah. But as always, we're going to hope for the best. And we're going to hope that the Yankees do the right things for the fan base. We're going to hope that the Yankees do the right things for their damn team. I think we both agree already that Boone and Cashman are going to come back. I think that's fairly obvious.
Unfortunately,
but I don't know what changes. What changes do you see that they're doing this audit? Somebody got to change. They're not going to do this whole little audit thing and be like, we're fine. The process is correct. We're good.
It's funny. I made a video about 3 years ago that said the organization needs an audit top to bottom. I'm glad they're finally taking my advice. So I think that you're going to see a lot of changes in the way they operate behind the scenes. We saw Judge's comments today, which I had pulled up, but I accidentally moved them. So paraphrasing, he basically said, yeah, we get a lot of numbers, but maybe we're not looking at the right numbers. Maybe we're not using the numbers we're getting correctly.
Right.
That tells me there is something behind the scenes with the analytics people. The fact that Steinbrenner called out the analytics team by name, by if your CEO comes to your office and says, "Hey, we're looking at the sales department," and you're in the sales department and says, "Damn, we didn't have a shitty year, and he mentioned us by name. Maybe I should update that resume." I feel like there's going to be some changes behind the scenes.
Yeah,
it might be a good idea to do some good old fashioned, poaching where you get on Indeed and you get all the best guys from Tampa Bay,
clubs,
from Los Angeles, Atlanta.
Baltimore.
Get the best. And when Abraham Lincoln was elected, he brought in the best minds from both parties, and he just wanted the best minds, the best of the best. John Kennedy did the same thing. Now, I don't know that Steinbrenner can effectively do that. I don't know what the rules are in baseball about poaching employees, but if that was at all an opportunity for him, I would go out and get as many diverse opinions in baseball as I can.
Yep.
But you also got to have, as we said in the very beginning, you have to have a decision maker at the top. I don't want the players seeing all these numbers and all of these, like maybe you should look at these numbers and maybe you should use these numbers in this way. I want all of that data getting filtered through somebody who's making decisions. And that person needs to ultimately be held responsible. Right now I feel like it's Fishman. I feel like Fishman.
Yeah, he's
Fishman's going where Jimmy Hoffa went.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think Fishman is about as good as a lock as anybody to be gone. And when you talk about poaching and going out there and trying to get other guys, I do believe that it's allowed if it is a bump up. I think that's typically the way it goes. Like if it's a promotion, then you would be okay with doing it. Let's be honest here. The Yankees got a lot of shit they could do to make these promotion type moves. I do got one big question for you. And I want to get your opinion on this because I know the chat has said this a lot. We've heard, I don't know if it was a player, somebody said it recently that basically, might have been Judge said something about Boone that maybe he just needs, or I forgot, I don't want to put a name on it, I forgot who it was, but somebody said something along the lines of, it might have been Bob Klappich, that Boone just needs somebody who's been there and done that because he hasn't learned as quick as they've expected him to. He kind of hasn't caught on as quick, but the players love him. But he needs somebody that probably is and has been a manager to be next to him as the bench coach. Is there a name out there that Buck Showalter?
Buck, he just got let go today.
Here's my only thing. I think him and Cashman can't stomach each other. I don't see that happening.
What makes you think that? I haven't heard that.
Just because of the stuff before he came in. Wasn't there? I remember there was always like a little beef with George, and then Cash was involved in all that mess.
I honestly never heard about that. So I mean, I just
don't see him coming back to the organization.
Yeah, well,
Makes sense.
Honestly, if I were the Yankees, I would do whatever I could to get Don Mattingly back on the bench too.
100%.
I mean, talk about a guy who came up with the Yankees, who understands playing in New York, who understands what it's like to develop as a star in New York, a guy who understands how to play the game the right way. I also think that there's some cultural changes that probably need to be made. Maybe it's time to take a look at like the beard rule and let guys be themselves. Let's unbutton our shirts a little bit. I mean, Jordan Montgomery was on Foul Territory the other day, and he said he hated the beard rule. And every player that you talk to that leaves the Yankees says, "Oh, I hated the beard. I hated having to shave every morning. I hated I would be in my prep and I would get a text from Wendy Steinbrenner to go back in and shave." It's like, do we really want guys interrupting their drill because they haven't shaved that day?
Yeah.
It's like, come on. This is the 21st. I go to, Food Line or whatever, and I need to talk to the manager, and he's got blue hair and he's got one of those earrings where you could put your fucking fist through it. It's like people just look fucking weird now. Can we let our guys at least have beards?
Yeah, when it comes to just going back to the bench coach job, I know a name that I've heard a lot about recently that also kind of fits the Mattingly thing is Willie Randolph. And I don't know how interested he'd be in coming back. A lot of people bring up a lot of the guys when it comes to the dynasty years. But, I mean, I wish I really knew what the answer was. Again, I always feel a little odd about it. Like even Aaron Judge said in his other comments that the Yankees, it's unbelievable, right? We've been saying this for a long time now. There's he didn't see the urgency that was needed from the club.
That is a great quote. So that's one of the quotes I had up there. So we've been saying that all year. How many times have the Yankees played, Tampa or the Orioles in April, and you go with a lineup, you're giving guys rest, a week into the season.
Nick Ramirez in big moments.
Right. And it's like, well, if you're not trying to win in April, what makes you think that the mentality of knowing how to win is just going to, by osmosis, be there when you're playing a big game in say August or September? I think you got to try and win like Derek Jeter tried to win, whether it's spring training, whether it's April, August, September. The minute you step between the lines, it's all about winning all of the time. You put your best team on the field every night unless somebody's hurt. If somebody says, hey, my hamstring is barking, I need a couple of days, they'll tell you. These guys are professional athletes. They know their bodies. They know when they need a rest. Look, I'll give you an example of how the Yankees use their analytics and their biometrics data versus real world stuff. I've got a tonal, right? It's this basically a smart workout machine. And I can work out a few days in a row where I'm doing my shoulders. I'm trying to actively work on my shoulders and things like that. And it'll say, rest your shoulders are tired. But I know from how I'm working them, I can do it. I mean, I can go today. I can work out today. The Yankees rely on that type of shit to say, hey, so-and-so needs a day off today. He's played 3 days in a row. You got to get rid of that. You got to let these guys tell you. And it's not always that they'll verbally tell you. If a guy goes 1 for 18, he probably needs a day off. But if a guy is
doing what Rizzo was doing, where he looked like he couldn't even see a baseball,
right, then it's time for a day. If a guy is 7 for his last 18 with 3 home runs, and he hit a home run the night before, you sit him against a AAA pitcher who's filling in that day, and then you lose by 1 run because that guy's wearing a jacket in the dugout, or you try and pinch hit him like Giancarlo, for instance. How many times did we see Giancarlo come up and pinch hit this year on days where he had the day off? He's like 2 for 9 million as a pinch hitter.
Yep.
It doesn't make any sense to use him as a pinch hitter. When you use him in that way, he's a non-player. So it's things, it's little shit like that over the course of 6 months of baseball every night adds up. And you can't tell me that the Yankees didn't cost themselves 8 or 9 wins with that type of shit. So they could have been 90, 91 wins and been a playoff caliber team.
Easy, no doubt about it. And that's the other thing too. I know Carlos Rodon has had an absolute shit season. He ended it on one of the worst notes, worst ways you can actually end it. And then on top of that, his attitude got the worst. I want to touch on that a little bit, but he mentioned something to, I think it was NJ.com, and he had a pretty candid interview. Like, he was just open and honest. Like, I'm getting paid $27 million. I better be good. Like, I haven't been. I want the fans to love me. I want my teammates to love me. But he also brought up something interesting. He said about the medical team, what you're saying right now, that there's been many times, even with other players, that they've put on the IL that never belonged to be there.
Yeah.
He said when I had the hamstring thing, I was fine. I told the media I was okay, and then I'm on the IL, and I'm sitting down when I was kind of getting myself. Now I'm taking a break again, and then I'm coming back again. And like he said, that's happened to a couple of people this year. And, I understand, these guys are an investment. You want them on the field. But like Derek said, the Yankees preach communication so damn much. Why don't they have it?
Right.
They don't have communication.
And let's just back this up with even more evidentiary data now. I probably said that wrong. But if you're giving these guys all these rest days and they're still getting hurt and they're still not performing, obviously the rest days aren't the key to success.
Bingo. Bingo. And what was the other thing? Oh, about even, and this is the type of shit that just pisses me off so badly, man. The way Rodon acted the other night, one was wrong. And everybody knows I'm the first person to go, I want the ballsy guys. Let me get those ballsy. And he's a ballsy type guy. The way he acted on that mound, shooing away Austin Wells, turning his back on Matt Blake, and then the next day for Aaron Boone to come out and go, you know what? He's lucky it was his last start of the year. He's lucky it was his last start. I would have pulled him into the office. I would have gave him a lashing like he never got. And I would have got with Steinbrenner or somebody and go, there needs to be a fine or something on this guy. That is unacceptable. It's not that, what is this, boxing? Got saved by the bell?
Yeah. Well, I think he has to be fined for that. And but a fine, I don't think even matters to him and maybe make so much money. What are you going to fine him $1,000? That's like finding 10 nickels in your
Yeah,
bottom of a coffee
they gotta
can.
do something just to show it for the team, just to show the team, hey guys, we don't act this way. I don't care what your stature is. You don't do
Yeah.
this stuff.
Yeah, that was definitely a bad move, and hopefully he learned from it. I mean, it's easy to forget that these guys they're kids basically. He's in his 20s. I mean, how many dumb things did you do in your 20s? And how many times did you show your ass in your 20s when there's been times I've said things and done things that in my 20s I would not even think about doing now, I remember one time I was at work and somebody came in and just asked me a dumb question in my office. They were just standing in my doorway and they asked me I don't remember what the question was now. And I just said, I sat there silent for a second. I said, I want you to repeat that to yourself. And this time think about every word you're saying and how stupid they are when you put them in a row. And of course they left and I was thinking, okay, good. They're out of my office. But then the next day I got to deal with HR. It's like,
That's always fun. I've had many fun HR stories. I've had many. Yeah. That's a good point because, Rodon is a guy that you could tell he wants to be good, right? And that's why I get so mad when people do the Carl Pavano. He's not Carl Pavano, not at
different
all.
Type of thing.
Completely different type of thing. I always tell people, I'm like, did you guys really live through Carl Pavano? Because here's a guy who said I slipped in the shower, I had a bruised buttocks, I couldn't pitch for 6 months. I mean, Rodon's a guy who's obviously out there saying, I want the ball. I don't care if I'm getting lit up. I need the ball. I need to go out there. And he's telling people, I want to be better. I want to be one of the best. That is so different compared to what Carl Pavano was. It is day and night different. So that's a bad comparison. All he is right now is a guy who just has not lived up to what we were expecting. And here's the great thing. The Yankees have had a miserable year. They're not playing no games in the postseason. But if he comes out and has a great March and April, and you sit back and go, oh shit, here we go. Nobody is thinking about what he did this year. Nobody. Yeah. You got the great chance of making it up, and I hope he can do it.
Yeah, he's going to have to. We got under a contract for a long time. I don't think trading him is an option because the last two starts, his velocity dropped by 6 or 7 miles an hour. Yeah. That's a little concerning to me. I'm sure they'll diagnose it a couple of days before the season starts. No problem. That's the type of shit that I'm talking about. Like right now, we recognized it, right? And so the Yankees said, well, he's fine. He's okay. Let's find out. Let's find out for sure that he's fine and he's okay now, not
and get ahead of
March.
It.
Not in March when he's throwing 86.
Bingo. Don't just do that thing and go, take time off season. We'll see how you look come spring. And no, that's something you got to get on right now. And whatever it is, you gotta quickly get ahead of it. But another guy who actually made an appearance and got a victory, Frankie Montas. Do you think Montas is back on maybe a 1-year incentive-based deal?
I got to think that somebody's going to give him more than that.
That's what I think too.
Somebody's going to offer him
a 2-year deal or something.
Yeah, somebody's going to offer him a 2-year deal. I'm not saying it won't be the Yankees because if Cashman remains the GM as we suspect he will be, you have to think that his opinion on who Montas is hasn't changed in the last year or so. He's just been hurt. He acquired an injured pitcher, and now he wants to see if he can make something of that trade and turn the public opinion on that trade around. That's a great part about being a GM. You can keep kicking that ball down the road. Well, if we believe in him, we can re-sign him. But you can't give him more than maybe 2 years, and he's got to come at a discount because he took a lot of money this year for nothing.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. So, it's going to be an absolutely wild offseason. Again, I don't expect to hear anything crazy regarding Boone and Cashman. I think they're back. I don't think that's even going to be a topic of conversation. And hell, maybe we're shocked and maybe we're surprised that something does happen, but I'm not expecting it. I'm kind of sitting waiting just to hear the announcement. They're coming back, seeing what Steinbrenner has to say regarding it. I know you said there's meetings next week in Tampa is what it's supposed to be.
Yep, they're supposed to be this week, Wednesday, Thursday, I think they said.
So I'm assuming we'll probably start hearing news. We also heard the news today at the Yankees, Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone want to bring back Sean Casey. So that's kind of getting on that realm right there of putting together the coaching staff next year. I do believe they're going to have a new bench coach. I don't know if it's going to be a veteran guy. Maybe Maybe somebody that's winning already on a club and is a coach on that team. I always bring it up. Maybe like a Sal Fasano, who's won with Atlanta, who's their catching coach. Maybe somebody like that. Maybe somebody who has the experience of maybe being the next manager of the club. But I do think they're going to look for experience there to kind of help Boone, whether it's with conversation or whether it's with game preparation, whatever it might be. But I remember in that article, too, they specifically mentioned that his bullpen management, a couple of things they mentioned in that article when it came to Boone having to learn more, maybe. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think for right now, the season ending being how terrible as it was, the only thing we can really do is wait and hope that big moves are made. Wait, like Derek said, maybe there's 5 new players in the lineup alone. Does Peraza get a actual chance to start the year? I don't know. Does Volpe rebound? And I say rebound in the sense of his batting average goes up. He cuts down those Ks. Does Austin Wells get a regular chance? Does Jason Dominguez come back earlier? Maybe he comes back later. There's a lot of stories going into this offseason. I think the most intriguing one is just going to be the big names that are available that make sense for the Yankees and what the Yankees actually do. And if they do offer a lot to get a Soto or somebody like that and, try to get us excited again.
I mean, there's a chance that they do some serious heavy lifting this year. They know that fans are unhappy, but there's also, and I want to prepare people for this, there's a chance they don't do much at all. Bingo. There's a chance that they blame it all on the analytics department and everything that happens is behind the scenes. And they say, we'll be better next year because we're going to swing at better pitches and we're going to take more pitches and we're going to yada, yada. There's a chance that happens. So everybody should prepare for that.
Yeah. Well, they've done that before and we know that. So that wouldn't be too crazy for the Yankees to do that. But guys, as we come to a wrap on the 2023 New York Yankees season, I did 149 friggin' games. Now that I look back, how the hell did that even happen? I don't know. Time goes so quick. But Derek, you filled in for us this year in 2023. Let's say 2024. It was an awesome job having you on Designated Spittaz this year. I know me and you definitely are going to continue to do some stuff down the line together. You got any big things coming up for the channel during the postseason, or are you taking some time off?
So I'm taking about a month off, but then I've got a slew of big name guests that I'm not quite ready to announce. Nice. That connections I've made over the last several months. That it's going to be a November to remember of just star-studded podcast. It's going to be great.
Awesome. And then, guys, like I said, I will be calling Game Season Live for the entire postseason. Excuse me. And then again, we do have that announcement to make, guys. If you guys are used to Designated Spittaz, my original co-host, Francis Lee, is indeed coming back. Very, very happy to have him back on the network and be back on Designated Spittaz with me going forward. Derek, any last words for anybody to be excited about? Not for this year. This year, there's nothing to be excited about. But going forward into 2024, anything to keep the fans encouraged?
Well, in the words of Samuel L. Jackson, hold on to your butts because this is going to be a crazy one, hopefully.
What movie is that from?
Jurassic Park.
I was going to say Jurassic Park. That's the one with Newman when Newman,
yeah.
Right? From Seinfeld, yeah.
We got Dotson. We got Dotson over here.
Funniest thing in the world is as I've been sick, I've been watched Seinfeld. So I've went through like Seinfeld. I think I might have went through the entire, I think it was 9 seasons. And I think I already went all the way through like season 4 again. Like I just keep watching them. I don't know why. It's just,
best show ever.
It is. Best show of all time. But guys, again, for a miserable, failure-ridden 2023 season, it definitely was not a failure for NYY Recaps, and it definitely was not a failure for NYYU. With that being said, guys, we are out. Peace out, baby. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.
Can't make a promise, but I do my best. 25 sitting on 25 racks. Just got started, no, we ain't done yet. Bought a new crib, it's a goddamn flex. Sign that check. Told them last year that I been up next. Can't take calls, but I send that text. From way downtown.